And we are almost there to the end of the week. We were almost not here this morning. A whole lot of glitches get in the way, but we're going to produce something. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, a bit late on this kick on the trigger today, but we've got 8 stories for you for today's things you might have heard. And today happens to be Thursday, November the 17th, 2022. 8 news stories. Most of them more entertainment like, to be honest. Not so much big on the don't know what that was. I guess that's me going live. Not so much big on the news, heavy news, but there is some heavy news in there. But there's some light news and a spoiler alert that you're just going to get. So if you haven't seen Black Panther, Wakanda Forever yet, or haven't read any news articles on it because they're all over the place, you're just going to learn something and it's just going to happen. Period. Deal with it. Stop by our website. This is a conversationproject.com for more details about the Conversation Project, what we have going on in the background and what's going on in the foreground as well. And you can find out ways that you can, be more involved with us, including the feeds and, of course, as I say, sponsorships and partnerships to keep things going here for the show. Now, show started with this one. Big news overnight. Karen Bass is elected Los Angeles mayor, beating Rick Caruso. The former senator is now the current mayor of the Los Angeles area. Congratulations to Karen Bass for going home, dealing with a lot of stuff as you would deal in these things. Having her house robbed and have her gun stolen from her house, which seems like bonkers, but it happened during their election there. This is going to be a kind of a ripple effect for all, because what we're losing in Congress is a senior advisor, senior person who's been there for a while to be replaced by someone who hasn't been there quite as much time to take her seat. But at the same time, for Los Angeles, they're getting rid of what I would call an embattled mayor. I don't live there, so I can't really say how embattled he is. And taking over the reins will be someone who is a daughter of Los Angeles. We will see whether she's able to turn things around fast enough, or at least stick around long enough to keep things turning around going forward as she takes on this new responsibility. Karen Bass, congratulations to you. Rick Caruso will find someplace else to go, because everyone always finds someplace else to go. Second story today. Darrell Brooks sentenced to life in prison in Wisconsin's Christmas parade attack that left 6 dead. Last year, Christmas parade, Darrell Brooks drove his car through a parade of people on the streets wearing all sorts of festive things, so you knew they were there, driving really, really fast. He blamed his car and tried to defend himself and made a mockery of the trial and basically traumatized the people involved. He's going to go to life in prison for this one. Justice, in this case, pretty much served. Moving on, our third story. Aaron Carter cremated, death certificate reveals. Quick, simple, easy. People are interested into what's going on in the Aaron Carter story. And so natural causes is essentially what happened. There's no foul play involved. He has been cremated, and the story mostly over, although his fiance is getting some grief from a lot of people online because trolls are going to be trolls. In this case, most of the details of the story are basically done for this one. So we mourn the loss of Aaron Carter. We send love and prayers and all those to the family, the friends, and all the fans who are now losing another person here in the realm. Let's move on to the next story, which is Winston Duke confirms M'Baku is the new king of Wakanda. Oops. Should I have said spoiler alert? Well, guess what, folks? It's been a week. Winston Duke is all over the place, and Wakanda Forever is all over the place. And at the end of the movie, knowing that Chadwick Boseman, the original Black Panther, or the Black Panther of note for the movies at least, has passed, and the queen is taking over, there's a bit of a power shift where there's no longer a queen, and M'Baku steps in and challenges for the throne. Now, here's the deal. He steps in and there's no one to challenge, and they cut away. So basically, as far as anybody's concerned, as far as Winston Duke is concerned, when Black Panther 3 comes out, he's going to be king of Wakanda, so he'd get bigger roles and bigger money. He'd get that. Yes, he do. Spoiler alert. Deal with it. Next story is this one. Beyoncé and Jay-Z are tied for most Grammy nominations. This happened this past day or so ago, as Beyoncé rolled out a bunch of different nominations for stuff. Now, Jay-Z has a bigger head start. It's a bit older, been doing more stuff, and has a lot of producing credits to a lot of stuff, as Beyoncé has less producing credits, but a whole lot of songs that are out there. And so her new album is basically tearing it up. And at this point, the most Grammy nominations ever, believe it or not, go to Jay-Z. And now tied with that is Beyoncé. Woman who married Ragdoll says relationship is hanging by a thread. She says that after he cheated. She says that as well. How can a ragdoll, an inanimate object, cheat? You're just going to have to click the link in the description and find out because, yeah, like I said, a whole lot of nutty going on in yesterday's news. And this is one of the top stories that you thought was nutty and conversational enough to chat about. So we're talking about this. At least I'm giving you the headline. You can read more about this because I'm refusing to talk about this very much more. But a woman married to a ragdoll, for reasons that are in this description of the story, says the relationship is having some issues with infidelity from the doll, not her. You people. Also, Jenna Bush Hager admits she never wears underwear. I'm going to pause for effect on this one. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I'll take another sip of coffee. I'm doing this for this verbal thing because there's people listening to this on a podcast. So I'm going to take a little bit of reflective glance. I'm going to blink a couple times. Blinking, blinking, blinking. And I'm going to continue with the story. A segment on the today, third, fourth, fifth hour, whichever it is, where Hoda Kotb leaves the anchor role and becomes the chit-chat role as she plays the Regis to the Kathy Lee of Jenna Bush Hager. Had a kind of a, getting to know you type thing and some things that they didn't know about each other. And one thing that Hoda admitted that she didn't know about Jenna Bush Hager earlier was that she never wears underwear, which Jenna Bush Hager admitted and said, this is probably the finest moment my mother has had of being on television, admitting this thing. Also saying that it makes the silhouette look a little bit more better in the, in the attire. As I said, we have to post news stories every 50 minutes. So sometimes we post things just to fill the gaps, and we never expect them to really do very much, but we pick from the morning spectacles, at least on Tuesday through Friday, the top 15 stories from 30 or so over stories. I think there was 32 stories this morning, I believe, based on the spread. And this story well into the high numbers for top 15 because people care about the Bushes and their underwear or something, or Hoda knowing about Bushes and their underwear. I don't know. Here's one that was a bit of an interesting one that I put in there relatively late, and you guys responded to it pretty big. Ex-host Tiffany Cross wanted to take down, that's a quote, MSNBC before exit. Tiffany Cross was unceremoniously, which I butchered, but you get the point, bounced from MSNBC a few weeks ago, essentially on a Friday saying, you're not coming to work on Saturday. And they filled the spot with news that Saturday. And I think Jonathan Capehart's going to get 2 days of work, a Saturday show and a Sunday show going forward for that one to fill that gap. Rumor had it that Tiffany Cross knew this was coming or suspected that it was afoot. Things were not great there, and she would be ending her relationship at some point in time. Essentially, they just didn't renew her contract and just let her go early. So she was planting seeds of dissent, basically preparing to blow the place up as she was making her way out. And because of that, basically people got into that. And so they just said, thanks, Miss Cross. You can leave your badge at the door and we'll bring your box to your house when we're ready to do that. Essentially getting the axe early to keep herself from building up any sort of ammunition for taking them down in a sense. Now, this is something that I see often in the workplaces I've been in. It was something really big where I worked when I worked in media, because if you let somebody know they're getting fired and then let them go do their air shift, they can say really crazy things on the air, which you don't want them to do. You leave them with their email address. They can send email out to fans and stuff like that you don't want them to do. Currently, I work in another place that has nothing to do with broadcasting, although there's media involved in some cases. And it's kind of the same thing. You all the contacts it's education, all the contacts people work in education, all the access to students, all the people going on. So they're extremely locked down on who can send messages, even happy messages to mass audiences. So knowing that someone is disgruntled is a good sign that you need to keep an eye on them. Knowing that they have issues that they know they're being bounced out and they've got plans in place, it's a good sign that you should, have their boxes ready well before you are going through and talk to HR very quickly to move folks out of there. Make sure security knows what's happening and kind of get a beat on what's going on. This is why people, yes, they spy on you in the in the organizations, and you never really know which best friend is actually a snitch because they happen to be there. It's just there. It's something I teach in my business stuff that you want to engage with what's going on, but you don't want to over engage because there are people who shoot messages up the flagpole to people who run things. That's not going to work. So we're going to do this today. There we go. Elon Musk gives ultimatum to Twitter employees: do extremely hardcore work or get out. Now, we did not want to give that much love to MailChimp, but MailChimp, the ad just would not go away. So it is what it is. I couldn't scroll down and get most of the headline. So there's a picture of Elon Musk sitting on a couch at one of the forums he does because he's rich and famous and whatnot from some past forum thing. But basically, there's a Friday deadline for the people who did not get fired at Twitter to A, get off their asses and come back to the office, and B, be prepared for 10-hour days and overnight shifts and types of stuff, because that's the kind of stuff that Elon Musk used to make his other companies profitable. His other companies aren't all profitable. In fact, most of them are actually losing money in general, but the stock prices are up, so that's what's going on. So, do you want to talk about this? Elon Musk saying, hey, time to come back to work and actually work, and not just, play Minecraft. If anybody does that anymore. Facebook.com/this is a conversation project. There's one vote. And Twitter.com/th_conversation. Go to our feeds, which we post every 50 minutes, a brand new news story. This one not posted quite yet, but it'll be there soon. And you will see the stories, engage with them, like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more you engage with the story, the better chance we get to bring it up. As I said earlier, we'll pick from the top 15 stories of the day and pull 8 of those and rearrange them, not necessarily in the order that they are posted or order in their engagement, but make them sort of more or just more entertainment, like more flow, if you will. Hopefully today's 8 stories were great. If you liked them, let me know. If you wanted other stories, let me know. If you just think you don't like all the pregnant pauses and the explanation of them because you're not a podcast listener, let me know on that one as well. Now we are going to go back to the big box because we're going to go to our sponsor issue here, because we got to do sponsors. We got to get the bills paid, as cliche as it sounds. And it is Fundrise for today's big sponsor. Stop by the website. This is a conversationproject.com/fundrise, and you can invest in real estate in a very interesting way. Just like you put into a fund. You put money into a fund and other people do other work. They'll give you plenty of reports of what's happening. You'll get to see how your dividends are coming, how your investments are going. And I can say, honestly, this is the only thing that has a positive investment, only investment I had this year that's coming up on the positive here in November, the 11th month, third quarter. So we're probably going to end the year positive in my investment, my real estate investments in Fundrise. I'm not saying I'm rolling in money. We're not going to open up the vault and swim in it like Scrooge McDuck this year. But we did come out on top as in making money this year. So that extra $5 in my tax bill will have to come from this one. We thank Fundrise so much for being a part of this. And if you join them right now, I'll also give you 30 days off any trading fees and, of course, some free funding, if you will, some free shares. Stop by. This is a conversationproject.com/fundrise. This is a conversationproject.com/fundrise, and get in on the real estate game right now. Yes, it's a little volatile. Yes, it's crazy, but overall, it's going to balance itself out, and you can see what they're doing if you're not in, a big time real estate investor as now. You can learn what they're doing because they're going to tell you every single thing, every step they take, every move they make. You'll be watching them. So the Conversation Project found that this is conversationproject.com is on a mission to bring in people to talk about things, topics, conversational topics, news topics, randomist topics, Pokemon topics, if that's what's going on. This is conversationproject.com is our home. We want you to stop by there to see more of the things we do. It cuts out about 5 to 6 total minutes of me talking in these things in a day. We're worldwide record time going for short today, so we're happy about that. But there are links to all the feeds, the ways to find us, the feeds to see our information, the feeds to see us on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and TikTok. Also links to our sponsorship and partnership pages as well, and other projects we have going on, including You're Welcome, which is a video podcast where I basically find a topic and of things that people are kind of skittish about and basically say it in the words that people want to say. A lot like last night or night before, where Jon Stewart was on with Stephen Colbert, and he was saying some of the quiet parts out loud, defending, not defending anti-Semitism, but defending Dave Chappelle and saying that basically the censorship of it, not talking about it, is the real evil. And if you go on any message board, any topic board, any place, you're going to see all those comments coming out anyway. So yeah, it is, you're not going to stop it. Oh, all those beeps, it's family. We'll get to that in a second on the chat. But first, birthday message that you care about today. Birthday the 17th November, starting off with Danny DeVito, who's all up in everybody's business, selling Jersey Mike's, and of course, it's sunny, always sunny in Philadelphia, of course. Long time, just funny guy, 78 years old on the day. RuPaul is 62 years old. That is kind of hard to believe. She seemed to have came out of nowhere, but she's came out of nowhere quite a while ago. So it shouldn't be that hard to believe. So RuPaul turning 62 years old today. She is a lot of stuff, to be honest. Entrepreneur, media person, all this stuff. 62 on the day. Daisy Fuentes, 56 years old. Of course, MTV VJ, known for that stuff, doing commercials, doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, producing stuff, and of course, makes Richard Marx relevant by, for some reason, marrying that guy. Every year on this day, Richard Marx is super happy and makes sure the world knows that he's married to Daisy Fuentes and he's the luckiest dude alive. Daisy Fuentes, 56 on the day. We're going to celebrate Butter Day today and celebrate butter on the day. Click the links to see what Butter Day is all about. Let's be honest with you right now. This has been a struggle today to get this thing on the air. So butter was one of the quicker things to pick to celebrate. And there's not much rhyme or reason or real thought into it, but we're going to celebrate Butter Day. And well, we all love butter. You love to eat butter. So get a stick of butter and eat it whole, fry it, in deep fry it, because we're in the South. We'll probably deep fry some butter tonight because we do that stuff. Put a lot of extra butter in your Alfredo, extra butter on your grilled cheese, unless you can do the mayonnaise option. That's on you. But Butter Day is what we have. We're celebrating it. So go for your butter. Go butter. Let's go to a long one, but a really interesting story for the one more thing you might have heard. Bear with me. This is going to take a moment to read it out. So let's go with this. Families with three kids have heard of middle child syndrome. That's the whole Marsha thing. Not doing well in school, middle child syndrome. Not getting through attention, Marsha, middle child syndrome. Always deflecting blame and responsibility, Marsha. You guessed it, middle child syndrome. Turns out it's all a myth. According to Dr. Catherine Salmon, a co-author of The Secret Power of Middle Children, while middle child syndrome doesn't actually exist, though there are some surprising benefits to being born in the middle, including middle children rely less on their parents. In a study, 400 undergrads were asked who is their families that would turn to for help, parent or sibling, while first and lastborn voted for mom and dad. Middleborn generally chose their brothers and sisters because they took care of themselves. Middles tend to be more open-minded and willing to try new things than their older or younger siblings, mostly because they're kind of stuck in the middle, literally. And middle children are better in relationships, business, and romantic, because middleborns are always pushed to the middle. They tend to have they tend to negotiate for things they want. When you're in the middle, and I'm not a middle child, I'm an oldest child. So basically, my life sucked because a younger child took everything from me. When you're in the middle, you have to negotiate and navigate the world of the older children, being the way they're basically trailblazing and doing stuff, and all the mistakes being found out with them, and the younger children who get everything because all the mistakes from the other children are found, and they basically get everything. So a lot of times you're dealing with these frustrations that the older child and the extra coddling that the younger childs get in the middle. I say that not from knowledge, but just from observation. Middle child syndrome apparently does not actually exist, but there are some issues being a middle child. They're out there. We're not going to lay low on that one, but we're going to lay out for the rest of the show. Today is Thursday, November 17th, 2022. Thank you for listening or watching, because we're live and then we're recorded and we listen to on the podcast for this edition of Things You Might Have Heard. If there's some stories that we missed that you think we should have gotten to, reply back in whatever fashion you want to, reply back on the Facebook and the Twitter, and we'll do our best to regroup and get those back into what's going on. Make sure you are staying hydrated. I'm going to take a hydration break real quick. Because I'm staying hydrated. Limber and on task, a little bit under the weather, a little bit drained because it's been kind of a crazy week preparing for next week where we will not be here. Reminder, we will not be on the air live for anything expected next week. Maybe we'll stop in on Thanksgiving when, I'm tired of hanging out with family and the ball game is bad, which happens often. But otherwise, we're expecting to not so much take the week off, but do some retooling on some website stuff and sometimes do some playing around with some of the video equipment, getting some new equipment in to try and take around stuff. And we're going to be in some places where the internet reception will be a bit suspect. That's the best way to put it. And so trying to do live things is not exactly going to be conducive to what's doing. So we may record a couple things, we pop a couple things in there, but we want you to enjoy your time for your friends and family for Thanksgiving and enjoy one more day of this stuff. We're going to do it one more day tomorrow, just to, round up the week. Like I said, we're almost there. Tomorrow, we'll see if we make it on things you might not have heard, brought to you by the Conversation Project from More Better Media, LLC.